On January 19th, 2025, the Cocoa Beach Police Department received several calls, all of which were regarding a large open house party involving minors that was taking place at 44 Country Club Road in Cocoa Beach. And later in the evening, he drove by one final time just to make sure that everyone who had been in attendance at that party had dispersed. And that was when he saw CR hunched over in the front yard of that residence, in the grass, vomiting and spitting. When Corporal Brown began speaking with the minor child, he noticed that he was slurring his words and he was not able to answer the questions that Corporal Brown was trying to ask him. This caused Corporal Brown to become concerned for the child's safety and his well-being. So Corporal Brown contacted the local fire departments and requested that they send medics who could assess the minor child and possibly assist him if he was in need of medical attention. Corporal Brown was also able to contact the minor child's mother to inform her of the situation and what was going on. During this trial, you're also going to hear from one of the emergency medical technicians, or EMTs, who works with Brevard County Fire Rescue. His name is Andrew Rock, and he is going to tell you about his observations of the minor child and what his involvement was in this case. After the child was assessed by the medics and the fire department, and after Corporal Brown spoke with the child's mother, the decision was made that Corporal Brown was going to transport the minor child back to the police station where his mother would meet them, and she would then take care of him from there and determine what should be done with him. You're going to hear from both Corporal Brown and Andrew Rock about Corporal Brown then asked one of the EMTs, two of the EMTs, one of which was Andrew Rock, to assist him in moving the child from the front yard of 44 Country Club Road into Corporal Brown's patrol car so that the transport could take place. And you're going to hear from both Corporal Brown and Andrew Rock about how when they were in the process of moving the child into Corporal Brown's police car, they were interrupted and approached by the defendant, Ms. Carly Anderson. You're going to hear about how Ms. Anderson approached the EMTs, demanding to know why the child was being placed into a machine. When the EMTs told Ms. Anderson that they could not provide her with any information, and that quite frankly it was none of her business what was going on, and that she needed to go away, Ms. Anderson became angry, belligerent, and began yelling at the EMTs. Corporal Brown, who was still in the process of trying to place the minor child into the back of his car, heard this commotion and walked toward them in an attempt to figure out what was going on and to make sure that the situation was not going to escalate any further. Ms. Anderson then began yelling at Corporal Brown. You're going to hear from Corporal Brown about the interaction that he had with Ms. Anderson. He's going to tell you what he observed about Ms. Anderson. You're also going to see the interaction between Corporal Brown and Ms. Anderson for yourselves, as this interaction was captured on Corporal Brown's body-worn camera. When watching that video, it is going to become clear to you that Ms. Anderson was intoxicated. Corporal Brown is going to explain to you what impact this interaction with Ms. Anderson had on his ability to care for the minor child that was in the back of his patrol car at the time, that this hindered his ability to care for that sick and impaired child and delayed him in being able to transport the child to the station where he was to be reunited with his mother so that she could care for him. You see, this case is not about what Ms. Anderson was saying or the content of that speech. Rather, this case is about what effect Ms. Anderson's outburst and belligerent behavior had, and that it hindered Corporal Brown in the performance of his legal duties, when at that time he was acting as a caretaker for this minor child who was sick. The state intends to prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that Ms. Anderson is guilty of disorderly intoxication, as she was drunk and endangered the safety of the minor child who was under the care of Corporal Brown that evening. The state also intends to prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that Ms. Anderson is guilty of resisting an officer without violence or obstructing Corporal Brown while Corporal Brown was engaged in a lawful execution of a legal duty. At the conclusion of this trial, when you have seen and heard all of the evidence for yourselves, the state will then ask you to return a verdict of guilty for both counts.